Okay, everybody, we're going to give this another try. I received a few texts and a couple of phone calls and just a request to redo yesterday's training. We kept getting cut off, and so I'm hoping that within the next 30 minutes I can share the information that I tried to share yesterday. If you follow me, you know that my name is Wendy Lovejoy of the YellowLetterMentoring.com, and our topic yesterday was real estate investing, the basics 101, real estate investing 101. And I started off by just kind of discussing with you guys the things that people say causes them fear in real estate. As I mentioned before, I've been in the industry now about 25 plus years, but even myself, hey Lawanda, thank you for joining us. I tried to do this training yesterday and we kept getting kicked off. It said my connection was not that good, so I'm hoping that today it's a lot better. I think everybody wants to get to understand the basics of real estate investing. And so I wanted to share that because it's well over 20 years that I've gotten involved in real estate. I'd say it's going on 30 to be exact. And excuse me, when I started in real estate, some of the things I'm going to share with you guys tonight affected me. And I talk to people quite a bit, especially people that say, they want to get on our training programs. And we've gotten to the point now where we interview the people before we let them sign up. And one of the things in the game planning conversations that we have, people say that things that stop them in really going after their real estate business, or they kind of feel like they have to put some of these things in place before they get started, are some of the same things that kind of affected me when I got started. So one of the things that I'd like to talk about is some of the fear factors that people deal with when they start a real estate career, whether it's real estate investing, or I talk to brokers, agents quite a bit, and even they have the same issues or started with these issues. And some of the fear people talk about is that they have fear that, they won't be able to do a lot of deals because they really don't have a lot of money. That's what they say. I don't know if I can get into real estate investing, or I want to get my real estate license, but I don't have a lot of money, so I may not be able to do deals, or, I don't have buyers. I keep hearing I need to have traditional buyers, or if I'm an investor, I have to find a lot of cash buyers. Thank you for the hearts. I appreciate that. It encourages people to join us, and also it tells me that the information that I'm sharing is well received. Thank you, Relinda. How are you, sweetie? So some people say, they don't have buyers. They don't even know how to find buyers. Other people say, well, if they do find a deal, they can't move any further because they don't have the money or the credit to do the repairs that the property may need. And then we have people that say, I don't even have the earnest money, the deposit. The good faith is some of the other terminology, but it just simply means the money you're going to put down in the transaction. And then I've talked to people that say, I don't even have any credit, or I have very bad credit. And I talk to some people that say I have excellent credit. But most people say because I don't have good credit and I have no credit, I don't think I should move forward on any deal yet. We have some people that say, I don't even know how to find a deal, so I don't know if this is going to work for me. And then the other people say, I don't have any investments. I don't know how to figure out the investment numbers on a deal. So because I've never done this before, or I've, heard about it, but I really don't know. And then how am I going to get a contract? Where am I going to get the contract from? And then I've spoken to people that say, I just simply have no clue. I don't know anything about real estate. I know that I want to become a real estate agent, so somebody told me that I need to get my license, and maybe I'll go that route. Or some people say, you know what, I heard anybody can become a real estate investor, so I'm going to go that route. Now, when I started I started buying houses not really knowing what I'm doing in the late 80s. A gentleman named Robert Allen wrote a book called No Money Down. I don't even think you can get copies of this book anymore. And he was so well rounded and shared so much about, doing deals with none of your own money or not worrying about your credit, that I saw him on a news cast. And if you guys have been following me for a while, you've probably heard this story 100 times. So I'm not going to go deep into it, but I read the book and, tried to listen to the techniques, because he had a gentleman that looked like me that, I had no credit at the time, and no credit is bad credit because I was used to paying cash for everything. I come from a culture, South Africa, where we didn't deal with credit. And then I was married to a gentleman who didn't deal with credit. He paid cash for everything. So I had no credit. And again, understanding credit as I do now and helping so many people own property and coaching people, I realized that having credit is a very important thing. But I had none at that time, and I wanted to own real estate. And I see this gentleman, and he says, tomorrow at the same time, I'm going to have this person that's with me now. And he was a young gentleman. I was pretty young at the time myself. He says, I'll have him own some property within the next 24 hours. And I said, okay, if he does this, then I'm down. He came back to the same channel, 6 o'clock news in New York, and he had the gentleman with him, showed that the gentleman had closed on a property. So I said, I'm going to buy the book. I bought the book, I read it a few times, and then I went to a seminar he was doing. I learned so much from that week's seminar. And if you follow my trainings, I always start with mindset, because Robert Allen showed me that mindset is very, very important for people. Even the people I coach and mentor, I tell them all the time, you got to work on your mindset. If you keep thinking the way you're thinking, you're going to take the actions you keep taking, and you're going to get the same results you keep getting. So you have to transform. So from Thursday to when I landed there Thursday, we started training Friday. Friday to Sunday night was all about your mindset. And then Monday through Thursday, we had to work on deals. I ended up leaving that conference owning 10 properties, and it was a specific letter that he told us to send out to different people. So that worked, but it came from him changing my mindset, because like many people, I was like, I don't have any credit. At the time, I didn't have a lot of money. I took all the money I could and I invested in the training. I didn't know anything about real estate. I had bought another at-home study course by Carlton Sheets, and it came in this huge box with a bunch of videos and, DVDs. Back then it was VHS. That's how long I have been in real estate. And so when I read it, I did everything he said, but it didn't really make sense to me, because I really needed somebody that I could connect to, and Robert Allen allowed that. So I get it when people say these things are fear factors. And from there, I went on and I interviewed brokers, because I knew I wanted to be in real estate. And I interviewed about 11 brokers. And most of those brokers, when I asked them who trained them, how did they become successful? Because I liked the way they dressed, I liked the cars they drove, I liked the lifestyles they were living. And I said I wanted that for my children and for my mother. And so they kept telling me about a broker named Chuck McGill. I tracked him down, and he had 5 offices. I said, which office does he spend the most time in? And his wife told me the office on, it was 159-23 Hillside Avenue. And so I said, you know what, that's where I'm going to be. And I had him train me, and I did everything he told me to do the first year. But I had a lot of the issues that people said they have. Now, the thing is, if you still are wanting to be a real estate agent or a real estate investor, and you have some fears that we just mentioned before, I'm going to give you some solutions. One of the best ways to get money for deals is to do deals where you get cash investors. One of the best ways to find deals is to build relationships with realtors. And I'm not talking about your friend that just got their license, because they really don't have the experience. They really don't even know how to navigate through MLS or FMLS or whatever MLS is in the area or the zip code you're in. They also know how to analyze deals somewhat when you get top producers, and they can tell you numbers. They can give you what's called comps, where the property is compared to other properties. Now, if you deal with people that have taken my programs, they'll be able to tell you all of this. But if you're just starting out trying to do this on your own, or you're just starting out and you've invested in a coaching program, now you don't have a lot of money, then these are the ways that you can replace the money factor. Find deals that you can do with cash investors. Find realtors that can help you with finding good deals that are already on the market. And sometimes realtors that are top producers have deals they're not putting on MLS. Those are called off the market, or they're called pocket listings. They're listings that are just shared within the office. And sometimes you get good deals there. And then when it comes to analyzing or finding the numbers of the property, then you can talk to them as well. The repair costs, that's another thing you have to learn to analyze. And putting in offers. Realtors can help you with a lot of this stuff. It's not always that they want to help you, because a lot of realtors that are top producers, they want to know they're working with people that are motivated to get the work done. Now, if you are kind of strapped for cash and you're trying to do a deal, I'm going to first encourage you is to connect with somebody that trains the way you want them to train. One of the things that happened for me when I first met people like Robert Allen, a lot of people said, you know what, real estate investing is a scam. And those people are, don't get involved with him. Don't do real estate investing. Buy houses the traditional way, because what he's saying doesn't make sense. Well, here's the thing. People with the real estate mindset, the people that really want to become real estate investors, one of the things that they need to understand is that you don't want to listen to people that have never done real estate investing. They don't understand it. They're giving you their opinion. You basically want to make sure that you are focusing on doing deals that are going to help you to move forward. And you definitely need a mentor, but don't listen to people's opinions about real estate investing. The thing about real estate investing is you do not need a license. And the thing about real estate investing is that once you understand the concept and you understand the principles, you can do it anywhere in the world. You're not limited to where you have a license. And if you're a real estate agent, you can only work in the areas that you have a license. If you have a license, let's say in South Carolina, then you're licensed only in South Carolina. But a real estate investor can do real estate anywhere in the world. And so that's something you really want to get. A real estate investor can do real estate anywhere in the world. It's pretty much the same concept. The only thing is you want to talk to like the governing entities in your area and just find out what the laws are. So that is one thing you want to understand. And because you don't need a license in real estate investing, a lot of people try to do it on their own, and I find that you lose a lot more money that way. Some of my trainings I'm doing to this day is some of the stuff I learned from my first trainers, Robert Allen, my broker who's gone to be with the Lord many years ago now, Chuck McGill. I learned a lot from him. I talk about him in most of the books I write, and that to me is the way I honor his legacy and keep his name alive, because he did so much to transform me, and I couldn't understand how the thousands of other agents that he had within the 5 offices didn't really pay attention as much as I did. And the ones that did pay attention, we became the top producers and our lives really changed. We were very coachable. And so I want you to get that, you know, you want to find somebody that's going to stretch you and not somebody that's going to tell you what you want to hear. And the thing about being stretched, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but it's going to change you. It's going to really change you, and your thinking's going to be different. So connect with a mentor that can help you to pull you to the next level, because you can't get there on your own. You will be able to do it, but it's not going to be a shortcut. There's no shortcut in saving money to do your deals. That really ends up costing you more. If I didn't invest that $7,000, which was for my hotel, for the conference, for staying a whole week without being interrupted by family members and really delving into the information Robert Allen shared with us in San Diego, I wouldn't have changed my life, my mother's life, my children's life, and so many people that now say, you know what, she's been doing this all her life, and we know her, so we know what she's accomplished. People that pretend to know me because I'm not a flashy person, those are not my focuses. I don't get caught up in all of that, but the people that are important to me, they know what I have accomplished in real estate, including the church that I belong to, the ministry that I've started, you know. And so you want to figure out your why, and then you want to connect your why to real estate, and then you want to find a mentor that's going to stretch you and pull you to the next level. Because one thing about doing something you really are not that comfortable with, the fear can cripple you. But when you have somebody who can hold your hand and guide you, it kind of, stops that a little bit for you. So you've decided you want to be in real estate. We talked about the things that could cause you fear. And we talked about the fact that even a lot of my students, when they get started, and I have to say, I think I have one of the most reasonable programs out there. I've seen students tell me that they've spent $60,000 for a program because they've seen the person on reality TV, flip this house or flip that house. And so they invest in that. My thing is, if you have $60,000 for a program, you need to take the less than that and buy a property and use the rest of it on marketing, but you need to know what to market. But for everybody else, when I talk to people and they say, I love the program, I'm going to do everything that you're telling me to do, but I don't know if I can get a property now. The reason I like to see people own investment properties, because that is what changes your legacy. The everyday working, if you're fixing and flipping, as long as you're fixing and flipping, you're getting paid. If you're not fixing and flipping, then you're not getting paid. If you're a bird dog, as long as you're finding properties and turning them over to investors, then you're getting paid. If you're not doing that, you're not getting paid. So that's like having a job. You're using your efforts and your energy to make the money over and over and over. The thing that makes you wealthy is when you have your money working for you. I encourage you, read The Richest Man in Babylon. And if you haven't I wrote a book years ago. It's on Amazon called Money Answers All. And that book gives you 10 principles. It's an inexpensive book, but it gives you 10 principles, and it's a pocket-sized book. I wrote it very small on purpose. And it gives you 10 things, 10 chapters of the things you want to work on, like your credit, your mindset, it's different streams of income. And with that book, it has a place where you can write certain things, but it's biblical, because Money Answers All is from the scripture, Ecclesiastes 10:19. It says, money answers all that money can answer. There's certain things you need money for it, but certain things, not even money will change it. So you need to work on both things. And so that book, if you haven't read it, I encourage you to get it. And I encourage you to get The Richest Man in Babylon. I sometimes give these books out to people because I think they're so helpful in changing your mindset. So if you are really looking at becoming financially free, you have to build assets. And real estate allows you to do that in so many ways. But if you've just gotten started in real estate, or you've been in real estate, I've met people that say they're real estate investors over 5 years, and I ask, have you closed a deal? And they say no, or they say, well, I did, but it's not consistent. Well, because you're not running your business like a business. That's the next thing you want to think about. Make sure you're running it like a business, which means if you had a job, I don't even say run it like a hobby, run it like a business. Because with the business, you have to put in certain amount of hours. You have to go to work. So you're investing maybe gas, maybe, the time to get to and from work, the hours that you're putting in to make sure you get a paycheck at the end of the week. It's the same thing with deals. If you don't put in the energy and effort, you will not get the paychecks at the end of the week. So here's the least expensive way to get started. If you're looking for fast cash options, the least expensive way to get started is to become a bird dog. And a bird dog is simply a person that finds out the information of the property, and then they turn that information over to a cash investor. And one of the things with the bird dog, you're not paid as much as a wholesaler because you're taking less risk than a wholesaler. You're basically getting information in and you're passing the information out. Your credit doesn't matter because you're not going to close on the deal. Your amount of money doesn't matter because you're not even going to put a deposit or earnest money check on the deal. You're basically starting off by getting the information and turning it over. But the thing with the bird dog, you still have to become a person that's good at finding motivated sellers. There's 3 pieces to any deal. We're talking about bird dogging first, and then we're going to talk about the second way to make money with less risk in a second. But in both examples, there's 3 people that are very, very important. 1 is always a motivated seller. 2 is yourself, the person in the middle. And 3 is the person that's going to buy the property, which should be a cash buyer, or better known as a cash investor. Those are the places that you want to build on. And I see Benita and Sharon have joined us. Hi, guys. So you always got to find motivated sellers. So you have to put a system in place for that. And it's got to be a system that becomes well-oiled, where you're constantly getting calls. And the people I coach and mentor, I teach them how to do that. Before even getting on this call, one of my students called me and said, I used one of your marketing techniques, and here's a call that I just got. What do I do now? Because this person just gave me so much information. And I said, still do the steps that I teach. Don't, the first meeting is always about collecting information. Then you want to do your homework and make sure that information they gave you is correct information. That's called due diligence. And then once you find that out, you can move forward. If you don't know options, I have students all the time text me, I'm in the middle of this, how do I do that? And I guide them through it. But you always are working on motivated sellers and cash buyers. The thing with having no credit and all of those issues that we mentioned in the beginning that kind of cripple you is that this will help you because you're not working with the retail level of buyer. The retail level, you definitely are going to have to get your credit to a decent level, and have decent income. And so one of the things that this helps you to do is get yourself prepared to purchase property. You need to own property where you're renting it out to become self-sufficient. When I first started in real estate, as I mentioned, the first 10 deals I got, they all were not around me. Because of what Robert Allen taught us, I ended up getting property in Las Vegas, Tampa, Miami, Orlando, New York, New Jersey, it was just all over the place, but it did what I needed it to do, including, I said Miami. It did what I needed it to do, which is it gave me a paycheck. Some deals I made $200 a month, some deals I made a few thousand a month, but it was coming every single month for something I did one time. And these were deals that I put very little money. The most expensive deal I got back then was a deal with this particular doctor. He wanted to go back to Nigeria, and he had more than one property in the Miami area. And I had written brokers all over the place. And one of the brokers, thank you for that thumbs up. So one of the brokers called me and said, I have this doctor and he wants to sell, but he wants $20,000 down. The house needs no work. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath in the really nice part of Miami, and he wants to sell it. And I said, well, I would love the property, but I don't have $20,000 to give him. If he's willing to go into contract with me, give me the property, put in the paperwork that I have time to pay him the $20,000, then we can do that. I had foot surgery. And I remember the same kid that you see, Real Estate is Power, I put him in my then Pathfinder, and we drove from Bronx, New York, Bronx, New York, all the way to Miami, Florida to look at this property. I had him and his little sister. They were both in Pampers, and we drove all the way down. My mother kept one of my other kids because I have 3. Because she's like, I can't keep all 3 right now, but I said, okay, I'll take the 2 with me. And we drove all the way down to Miami. I met the realtor. I looked at the property. It was a beautiful 4-bedroom house, nice enclosed porch, nice backyard. It needed nothing. And so I signed the contract, and I had to give the doctor $5,000 in a year, the next $5,000 in the following year, and if I did not, if I could, then I had to refinance the property and then give him the balance of the $10,000. But if I wasn't ready to do that, he gave me the option of still paying him in spaces. So what I did is I got the property. I never lived in the property. Actually, my brother, who was in the military, had just come from the military at the time. He moved into the property in the first year. He paid the rent. And I was able to, from the rent that he was paying, because I took over the gentleman's mortgage. And so I made $400 on top of what my brother was paying. He took care of the property and he maintained it. I didn't have to worry about that. And I saved the $400 and paid off the gentleman from what I was making. And then, my credit, by then I had built my credit because I had no credit when I got started, which is bad credit when you're doing real estate. So I started building up my credit. The fact that I was paying this man the money, he was my bank at the time, because he did something very, it's called different types of financing. I didn't go to the bank. He was the seller, so he did seller financing for me, and that's what we wrote in the contract. And so that was one of the deals. But you don't have to stick to your neighborhood. I would say in the beginning, because I have a student that said to me, well, you seem more like a life coach because you're helping me get my life together. The person makes decent money, but they don't drive. So I said, well, focus in your own neighborhood. Focus in your own neighborhood. When my daughter Shannon went to Morgan State, I went and I literally left my family and my boys in the house in Freeport, and I went to stay with my daughter at Morgan State in Maryland. And while I was there, while waiting for her to graduate, I literally did the same thing there. I invested in a lot of row houses there, and I literally would walk to some of the appointments until I had my car come up to come and stay with me where she was. We got her an apartment, and so I did real estate investing. And like I said, this is what's great about it. Anywhere you go stay, you can do this. So going back to being a bird dog, you are not like looking for retail buyers. You're constantly looking for cash investors. Cash investors. And I always say when you're doing this, you want to have some affirmations you say for yourself. This helped me quite a bit when I got started because I knew nothing about real estate, and I said, are people going to know I don't know about real estate? So I had to trick my brain to believing that I knew what I was doing. So I would say things like, I am a real estate investor. I am a successful real estate expert. I am a real estate investor that does wholesaling. I'm a real estate investor that buys and holds. Like, I would say this to myself. And so it kind of built up a little more confidence. One of the things about you being the person in the middle is that you get paid to just be the middleman if you're doing the bird dog. And to me, this is a great way to get $500, $1,000 per deal, and you're not putting any money out. Some people will say, well, I'm working with somebody, I find them leads all day and they're giving me $1,000. Don't take that $1,000 and just use it up just for your bills. This is the best time for you to cut down on your bills. If you're spending $200 on a manicure, cut down and maybe do a $12 manicure just so you look good. And it's only for a season, it's not for a lifetime. When I got started in real estate, I've shared this before. I had a conversation with my 3 babies and I said, you know, for 1 year, mommy can't buy you new clothes. Mommy's not taking you out anywhere. They were babies in Pampers, but I still said to them, we have to sacrifice for 1 year. And I got this from a person that I knew back then, and her son, I'm not saying you have to be as drastic as she was. She had a teenager and she said, we're only having Franks every single day for 1 year. We're not buying anything else. In a pack of Franks, we get, 6 Franks or more. And so you can have 3 a day, and some days I'll only have 1, so you can have more, but we're not doing anything else. And at the end of that year, she had saved all her money and bought a Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise on 125th Street. Do you think that the life of her child was changed forever? Sacrifice comes before success. So sometimes you got to sacrifice if you're in this position. And not everybody has to get to that level, but some people, you already have the money, you just don't know how to do what you have to do. But you are the middle person in the deal. And so if you're just passing on the information as a bird dog, you're going to make anywhere from $500. I've seen people make a few $1,000s, and it just depends on how much information you're sharing, how good the information you're giving to the cash investors, how motivated the sellers are you're passing on. Those are the things that are going to determine how much cash you make. The other thing about being a bird dog is you don't go into contract. You're verbally sharing information. Now, one of the things I learned the hard way is that you want to make sure you have a written agreement with your investors before you give them any property addresses, before you say they're in contract, because things can go wrong and then people will say things that are not completely true. And you want to make sure you have a written contract that says, for this address, this is what you're going to get for it. And you want to not just hand out the address until you have a written verbal agreement. I'm going to get $1,000, I'm going to get $2,000, whatever you agree on. You want to make sure that you have that part taken care of. But everything else, verbal offers are really good enough to become a real estate investor. Because again, you're just passing on information. You're not really taking a huge risk. One of the reasons investors make so much money is they take on huge risks. So you can start there, build enough money to get yourself some training, to get some bills out of the way, to get some money saved, but you still have to work it like a business and give yourself X amount of deals you want to get done. Don't be like some people that I've spoken to where they feel like, you know what, if I give you this address, I need $10,000. Well, I still got to go make sure that this address or the investor you're dealing with still has to make sure that the information you're sending them is worth the money that you say you want. So make sure that you are kind of not being greedy. Leave some room for the investor to make money too. Don't try to, get all the money for yourself. Another thing you don't want to do is do a deal and cut out the person that brought you the deal. You're going to need them again. And the more you get into real estate investing, the more you make this a real business, the less time you're going to have to do certain things. So you want to build the people on your team. And when you find that this person doesn't work well with you for whatever reasons, no matter what they say or didn't do, don't get caught up in that. Say next. Don't try to convince them, just say next. Find the person that wants to work with you and then continue from there, okay? But be perfecting your skill sets. Keep working on getting your business defined. And, like I said, don't cut the person out. I've had people come to me. I remember doing a deal with a person that's very, very well known in Atlanta, Georgia. I didn't even know it was his deal because somebody else brought it to me. And then I said, oh, we know each other, when I really found out who was really wholesaling the deal to me. So he said, well, I know you. Let's cut that person out. I said, no, we're not going to do that. If I would have never gotten this deal without him. And so you don't want to do that, okay? The other thing you want to make sure is that you have that non-compete or disclosure so that they don't try to cut you out of any of the deals. Good investors, though, are willing to pay you. They're not going to try to go behind your back and all that kind of stuff. Good investors some of them will even give you your money back even when they don't have to. That's not always the case. So again, when you're bird dogging, you're taking the least risk. Another thing that you can do to build your cash flow is what's called an assignment of contract. Now, an assignment of contract, you've probably heard this before when people say, well, I'm just wholesaling the deal. There's two different ways to wholesale a deal, and this one here is one that a few people I know, especially in New York, they prefer to do it this way. You can do it this way anywhere in the United States. It's not I don't know any place yet that it's illegal to do this. However, you cannot do this way I'm going to tell you about next with places that are in foreclosure or things that are owned by the banks. Those things we're going to discuss on the next one, but any other type of real estate, whether it is somebody got left the property, it's a probate, somebody got a divorce, or somebody just doesn't want the property anymore, any of those will fall into this. You cannot do this with the short sale, but you can do this with traditional deals, and it's called an assignment of contract. So I'm going to use easy numbers just so you get it. Here you went and you found a deal. If you've been bird dogging, you've put in place now a way to find deals. You're either doing the yellow letters, you're doing some sort of a postcard campaign, you're knocking on doors, you're driving for dollars, all the techniques we talk about. And you can go on the Yellow Letter Mentoring Facebook page and look at our album and print or download the quadrant, the Yellow Letter Marketing Quadrant, and look at the place that it says free marketing. Those things will take more sweat equity. You got to drive to a neighborhood or walk to a neighborhood and get addresses. I kind of encourage people to do what my first and only broker I've ever had in my life, Chuck McGill, taught me to do, which is when I'm going home, drive different ways and look for people that look like they need to sell their home, or for sale by owners that are trying to sell their home. You can even do this with the for sale by owner. So let's say you found a house and the owner wants to sell the house and they want to sell it to you for $60,000.